Hey guys, how are you doing? So let's continue on and talk about the next region called Chugoku Chiho, the Chugoku region. So the first one is Tottori. Tottori is famous for Tottori Sakyu, which is Tottori Desert. Usually there aren't any deserts in Japan, but this is where you can see desert in Japan, so it's famous for that. Next comes Shimane. Shimane is famous for a museum called Adachi Museum, and they have a very, very beautiful Japanese garden there, and lots of tourists from all over the world comes to see that garden. So if you have a chance, please try and check that out. Next is Okayama. Let's see, Okayama is famous for, there's a fairy tale called Momotaro in Japan, which means a peach boy. And Okayama is where that story takes place in. It's about this boy who was born from a peach, and in the end he kind of fights these demons and ogres and he wins. Yeah, it's a very famous fairy tale, so everybody in Japan knows about this story. Next is Hiroshima. Hiroshima is famous for an island called Miyajima, and that's where there is this very beautiful shrine called Itsukushima Shrine, which is a World Heritage. So yeah, if you have a chance to go to Hiroshima, then it is a must-see. Then next is Yamaguchi. Yamaguchi is famous for blowfish or pufferfish or whatever you call that, this type of fish. Yeah, it's poisonous, so by law you can't cook it yourself unless you have a special license for it. So because of that, it's very, very expensive, but very tasty too. So those were all the Chugoku Chiho, so Chugoku region. Next, let's go to Shikoku. So Shikoku is an island where there are 4 prefectures. The first one is Tokushima. Have you heard of Bon or Bon dance or Bon festival? Yeah, Bon is a type of event or a festival that's held all over Japan in the summertime. But Tokushima has this special dance called Awa Odori. And yeah, it's a special kind of dance that you do during that Obon season. I've never seen it in person, but I've seen it on like TV and news, and yeah, it's a pretty interesting dance, so if you have a chance, maybe check that out too. The second one is Kagawa. Kagawa is famous for Kagawa udon. Udon is a type of a Japanese noodle, and it's very thick compared to other noodles, but it's very, very tasty, so yeah, you should try that out too. The third one is Ehime. Ehime is, when I hear Ehime, I imagine orange juice. There's a very famous orange juice called pon juice. And, but as a place, there is a coast called Shimanami Kaido. Yeah, you can kind of go cycling along the coast, and it's a very pretty view. So if you like the outdoors, then yeah, this is a place to go to. And the last one, the fourth one, is Kouchi. Kouchi is famous for a fish called katsuo. Katsuo is, in English, I guess it's called like a skipjack tuna. So it's a kind of a type of a tuna, also known as bonito. But yeah, it's a very tasty fish. And also Kouchi is famous for the Tosa dogs, Tosaken. They are these big dog, it's kind of like a mastiff, and since they are very big and strong, people used to have like dog battles and make the 2 Tosa dogs kind of battle each other. I think they still do it now as like an event, but yeah, that's what it's famous for. Okay, then let's move on to the southern part of Japan. It's the Kyushu region, the Kyushu Chiho. There are 7 prefectures in this Kyushu region, and the first one is Fukuoka. Fukuoka is the biggest city in the Kyushu region, and it's famous for tonkotsu ramen. And maybe you've tried tonkotsu ramen before if you're a ramen lover, but it's those creamy one. It's a pork-based broth, and yeah, tonkotsu ramen is so good. So if you've never eaten it, you have to eat it. Next comes Saga. Saga is famous for this type of ceramic called aritayaki. Yeah, it's a very traditional, and also aritayaki is a very expensive type of ceramic. Yeah, so if you go to Saga, maybe aritayaki plates and cups might be a good souvenir. Then the third comes Nagasaki. So Nagasaki historically was the place where they did trading with other countries. So if you go to Nagasaki, you will see a lot of like Western style buildings and also even their famous food is kind of like a Western style food. So yeah, you can feel like you're in a Western country if you go to Nagasaki. And the next one is Kumamoto. In Kumamoto, there is a famous mountain called Asozan, Aso Mountain. And yeah, it's a very unique shaped mountain. It's basically a volcano, so there's like this big crater in the middle, and you can kind of walk around there. And I've been there once, but it was a very pretty area. And also, as for food, they are famous for eating horse meat. Yeah, and they eat it raw too. Of course, you can eat it as like a barbecue style, but usually they eat it like a raw horse meat. The taste is pretty similar to beef, I think, but yeah, but it's still a little bit different, I guess. Next comes Oita. Oita has many hot springs too, and the most famous one is probably Beppu Onsen, Beppu Hot Spring. So if you want to relax in the hot spring, you might as well go to Oita. Then comes Miyazaki. Miyazaki is kind of like a very tropical area of Japan, and they make a lot of tropical fruits like mangoes. And I've been there once and I've driven around there, but I'm from an island called Maui in Hawaii. And when I was driving in Miyazaki, I felt like I was driving in Maui. So yeah, it's kind of similar to Hawaii, I guess. And the best place to visit there is the Takachiho. Yeah, it looks like this. So yeah, it's very relaxing and beautiful, and yeah, very like cool even in the summertime. And the seventh one, the last one of the Kyushu area, is Kagoshima. Kagoshima is famous for an island called Sakurajima, Sakura Island. They have this volcano that is still erupting. And so sometimes on the news I would hear stories about the Sakurajima's volcano erupting, and all the ashes were like blowing around. And yeah, I think they have a lot of trouble with dealing with those ashes. But yeah, it's a very fun and nice place to visit too. And the most southern prefecture of Japan is Okinawa. If you're familiar with Japan, I'm pretty sure you have heard of Okinawa before. I think the image of Okinawa is very similar to the image that Americans have of Hawaii. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's part of the 50 states, but it's kind of different. Yeah, Okinawa too. It's part of all the prefectures of Japan, but it's a little bit different. It's like special. Yeah, because it's very tropical and the ocean is so beautiful. Yeah, as I said, I'm from Maui, but I think the ocean in Okinawa is actually prettier than Maui. The reason is they have a lot of coral reefs, so the water is so clear and the corals and fishes are so colorful. So yeah, it's very, very pretty down there. Alright, so those were all the 47 prefectures of Japan. Yay, we finished finally. So I hope you enjoyed listening to my lecture here. So I hope this kind of helped you out to get familiar with the map of Japan and what they are famous for and what kind of things you can do or eat or see there. So anyway, that is it for today. Alright, so see you again. Goodbye.